that one there. It's really cool. It's really cool. Oh, here he is. Hey, mate, I was just mentioning we were talking about cows and you've got something exciting in the works.
Yeah. Hey everyone. Yeah, it was really exciting actually. Adam and I just jumped on a call. It was the first time we'd really talked about what I'd been working on. Like cows, I don't know, for anyone that's been around, cows has been on my mind from day one, really. Um, but over the last couple of weeks, I've really just been diving into the cow mechanics, what it looked like, and just shared it with Adam just now. And we just kind of did a lot of brainstorming and came up with some really exciting ideas. Just think kind of breeding, a lot. It's going to be a much more complicated mechanism of being able to breed cows. We're thinking about having, excuse the plane if you can hear the plane going overhead, it's pretty loud. We're going to be including some kind of seasonal rarity so that each season a new set of kind of like rare, epic, and legendary cows will come out. And you'll need to kind of breed for that season. So in order to get a season 2 epic, you'd need a season 2 rare. These will come with new designs. Each tier of cow will have different kind of boosts, but it'll also introduce new burn mechanisms. So there'll be new buildings such as like a butcher, a steakhouse, a dairy. So think kind of like cheese platters, fruit and cheese, steak sandwiches, all sorts of stuff. Apologies for vegetarians, but this is just the reality of farming, I imagine. Yeah, it's super cool. I think it's going to be really exciting. I'm looking forward to getting a proposal together. I've been working with Decol, just talking about numbers, etc. But you can expect a proposal coming out in the next couple of weeks. I'm really excited to see where that goes and up hear other people's ideas for sure.
Yeah, nice. I think we're perfect time for disclaimer now that we've got about 30 people in here. Welcome, everybody. Just quick disclaimer is that anything we discuss during these sessions is not financial advice. We do talk about crypto only because we're building a crypto game. We also give a lot of sneak peeks and talk about different game ideas, just like the cows we are doing then. Doesn't guarantee that something's going to make it into the game. So please, no screenshots or recording grabs and then bring these up 2 years in the future. It's a game, things do change. Carrot Counter, you've been a bit silent there, mate. We got you?
Yes, I'm here, mate. I didn't have my sound working before. The non-tech guy.
How are you?
Mate, I'm really good. First week down at Sunflower Land. It's been great. Really enjoying being part of the team.
Nice, mate. What's been popping up on your plate recently?
Look, we're getting all the finances in order, and working through some of the partnerships and improving the onboarding process as well through on-ramp providers. So they're just a few things I'm looking at the moment.
Love to hear it, mate. All the exciting stuff.
Yeah, all the exciting stuff. As exciting as cows.
And we're waiting for the live streams when you can go in, crack open a few spreadsheets, give a few tips.
Yeah, mate. I'm sure the ratings will be through the roof.
Oh, Brandon, welcome. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. Just deeply regretting not going into my settings and disabling all of my 20 extra audio devices before we started the broadcast.
I think the exciting thing is, yeah, you're loud and clear, mate.
Okay. Just wondering if something
Loud
else
and clear.
broke.
I think the exciting thing this week is that Treasure Island is open for beta testers. I love the beta testing feature right now because we find such critical feedback early on in the stage, and we find some really good bugs as well. There was one feature that just wasn't working for people where you paid gold and nothing happened for them, which is unfortunate, but that's the cost of beta testing. We're definitely getting some really good feedback on the gameplay mechanic itself. There's going to be a lot of drops available, so there's some good feedback to publicize those and actually make it visible what you can find at Treasure Island. But I'm keen for it. My partner, she was playing it last night, and she only had about 10 wood, so she only had 5 shovels that she could purchase. She ended up buying SFL, going to SFL Tools, finding someone selling enough wood and stone, and then buying as much as she could. And she dug every single hole on the island, which she was loving it because she was finding a bunch of sunflower cakes and radish cakes. So it was a really good way for her to level up. Has anyone else showed this to their significant other and got thoughts on it?
No, I haven't yet. I don't. Yeah, no, I haven't. It's one of those things that it's like it really shows who your partner is. You know what I mean? Like you don't expect that they're just literally like a gambler at heart until you show them some fun mechanic like this, and next minute they've spent, all your life savings trying to dig the holes on Treasure Island. So I'm glad you got that out of the way early, Adam.
Oh, well, she can't figure out how to get Matic into her wallet, so I'm the one that has to finance her treasure digging habit anyway.
Yeah, this
Right.
morning on the mod meeting, one of our mods said they mentioned they dug all the holes within a couple of hours. I think it's been a common case throughout the players.
We had a little bit of a feedback survey, and there's some awesome feedback coming through. Thank you, everyone involved in that. Keep it coming. I laughed. One of the questions was like, would you come back and play this feature again? And the person sent a screenshot of their Treasure Island. Every single hole was dug, which is like 100 holes. And then they were like, no, I probably won't come back tomorrow. I was like, Jesus, you just dug up your entire island. That's how that temptation works. They'll be back. Oh no. I'm just at Treasure Island now. I'm digging up, found a crab.
I'm here too, Adam, as we speak. I definitely consider myself quite a casual style of gamer, but I've definitely played Sunflower more in the past 24 hours than I have before.
I wonder if this would be... You go, mate.
I was just saying, I'm loving the food.
It's great, isn't it? You can level up pretty fast. You do got to burn a bunch of wood and stone to get that. But if you're looking for some cakes, it's a place to be. I always wonder if this would be a good candidate for something like Pumpkin Plaza, where you just have hundreds of pumpkins running around an island trying to dig up treasure.
That'd be a good mix.
Well, I just got a cauliflower cake. Let's go.
Yeah, that was something we got a lot in the mod meeting earlier. Was like, all right, the Pumpkin Plaza is cool. We can run around and interact with other people. Now, when can we do that in the whole rest of the game too?
Yeah, the cool thing about Pumpkin Plaza is there is that daily reward, and when you open it, it pops up above your head. It'd be really nice, like if you're digging for treasure, and you could see rewards that people are getting in one section of the map. You run over there, you try to dig in that area to try to find the same rewards. Yeah, we're looking pretty good for Treasure Island. We got to definitely make some tweaks around it all, and we're finalizing some of the items. Hoping to release this next week for the general public. It's definitely going to be one of those things that not every item will be available at Treasure Island at the start, but there will be about 30 to 40 different items you can find. And then we are looking to add some limited edition items. So on a given month, there may be a rare item that you can only find. If you don't find it in the month, that's a chance gone, which I think is a really good way just to get people coming back. And you're never going to find all items. There's always going to be something that you need to come back and dig for.
That's really cool. I wonder if we can get the traveling salesman, bring old mate back to drop off some shovels for the launch.
I like that. Everyone that's in the audience right now, maybe everyone gets a free shovel.
But yeah, I've been missing the traveling salesman. honestly.
Salesman. I love that little guy. Where has he been? He doesn't come around anymore.
Nah, he's settled down. He's found a partner.
If I had to guess, I'd say it's the homeless man, because they've both been missing for a while now.
Yeah.
I was
that's old
just
mate.
thinking.
He got sorted. He's found a job and he's off. The old mate homeless guy. I've got the tent sitting on my farm. No one's in it.
So yeah, we're looking good with Treasure Island. Is there anything else you guys are working on Treasure Island, or anything about it in general that you want to bring up with the players?
I'm currently working on the quest. So it will be a pirate quest where you need to find certain items, and then you'll be able to get rewarded by this pirate that will show up on your treasure island. Really excited for this. There's new items, new wearables being launched. So we can add these soon.
Nice, mate. Your audio is a little low. I did quite catch that, but you might need to bump up that audio a little bit. There's some really cool wearables. We gave you weren't here last week, but we actually gave a little bit of a sneak peek in the chat, Romy. We leaked some of the images that these players can expect. I think we love these sort of bumpkin wearable quests. And the really cool thing about these ones is that some of these wearables will have utility as well. So it's the pirate potion, is that right, Romy, that's going to give some special utility?
Yes. So you can turn into a pirate. So you will have pale skin. It's similar to how the goblin potion works, but now you have a utility if you become a pirate.
Love it, mate. For all those people that wanted to be a pirate when they're a little kid, now is your chance. You will be able to drink a pirate potion. And so remember, when you drink a potion, it is a one-time use. It is a burn. You then turn into a pirate with blue skin, and some in-game utility will unlock for you, which is really cool. We've also got a new bumpkin wearable available right now, which is the fruit picking outfit. So this went live about a couple hours ago. But if you are playing the game right now and you go to the northwest, on that little sand island, you're going to see a bumpkin with a fruit bowl on their head. And the really cool thing about this bumpkin is that they are giving away free clothing. And so if you pick enough blueberries, you'll be able to get a limited edition fruit shirt. If you pick enough oranges, you'll be able to get a fruit picking apron. And that apron, that actually gives you a boost. Every time that you collect an orange, a blueberry, or an apple, you're going to get a bonus 0.01, which it's just quite nice because you can actually harvest fruit trees multiple times. And so that ends up being 0.3 up to 0.6 bonus on every time you plant a fruit seed. My favorite, though, is the fruit bowl, which is if you harvest 750 apples, you don't need to give these apples to this lady. You just need to harvest them. You will get that fruit bowl, which is a very tough, very sort of rare hat that you can dress your bumpkin with. Which raises some really good questions now, guys. What if you want to dress your bumpkin as a pirate to get the pirate utility? You also want to dress a bumpkin as a fruit picker to get that fruit utility. But you also want to have a goblin bumpkin on your farm. How are you going to be able to manage having multiple different bumpkins?
There's some people in the chat, tourist, tent. I think you're on the money there.
Yeah, tent is 100%. 100% right. It was a good intro, Adam. Very creative.
Yeah, so for the players, upcoming in the top of the list of things that we want to implement is the ability to use multiple bumpkins and utilize that tent that everyone's been excited to use.
Yeah, I think it's we did talk about this a couple weeks ago. We've sort of rearranged the order that we are going to be working on some items. You can always visit the GitHub projects to see what we're working on and when. But we decided that there was a few items that we wanted to bring up in the list. I think previously before we had Treasure Island, Magic Beans, and Fishing. Like just feature after feature after feature. But we realized there was a lot of existing improvements that we could make to the game, and also some pretty significant UX flows that we wanted to touch up. And so after Treasure Island, we are going to be fixing up people who have sent wearables to their island instead of their bumpkin. As part of that, we're actually going to make that deposit system a lot smoother. So instead of sending to an address, which on blockchains, people always mess this up and send it to the wrong address, we'll actually provide a UI that makes it easier for players to deposit their rare collectibles or SFL onto their islands. Following that, we're going to be jumping into multiple bumpkins. So we're at that point right now where we have a bunch of different wearables which provide different in-game mechanics. And it's a bit limiting right now because you only have one bumpkin, and so you can only unlock one mechanic at a time. So as part of this, we want to add support for multiple bumpkins. So you can place your bumpkins all across your farms, which is great because I know there's a lot of players out there who have shared screenshots and they have 10, 20 bumpkins at bumpkins.io, but they can't do anything with them at the moment. So they're kind of just sitting in their inventory being wasted. So that's something that we're really looking forward to. After that, we've got progression improvements. This is a pretty broad ticket, but in essence, with this one, we want to make the game a lot more engaging for new players. And so right now, a lot of the gameplay is catered towards existing players, but it makes it very tough to grow the community and grow the game if someone who comes in and there's nothing for them to craft, there's nothing for them to unlock. There's only a few months of gameplay and then it's done. And so as part of that upgrade, we're going to be adding more expansions, adding more buildings, adding more craftable items at Helios. So more scarecrows, sprinklers, tractors, all those sort of things. We're also going to introduce a lot of improvements around the land generation. So there's a lot of people requesting land rerolls and whatnot. As part of us making these progression improvements, we're going to fix that up. And I think the cherry on the top with that ticket as well is we're hoping to make resources movable. So a big part of that progression in the game is around designing your land and improving your land. And we want to tailor in the ability to start moving resources around. So a new player who comes in, the game seems a lot more organized and enjoyable. they can actually put a bit of creative touch on their farm, put their trees in one spot, put their plots in one spot, put their buildings in nice places. So it adds that extra bit of gameplay that if you are really interested in the design aspect, you can constantly be collecting decorations. And that's it. That's kind of what we're looking at, those next 3 items. It does mean that fishing and magic beans is coming at later dates, but it feels like the right decision, fixing up the core gameplay and what we have right now instead of rushing into the next feature and getting that done as quickly as possible. We're really in that camp. If we spend that little bit extra time improving the game and the system, it'll just make everything a lot more enjoyable in the future.
100%. I think now's a good time anyway because there's a lot to do in the game right now. At least for my gameplay, especially with the release of the Fruit Quest that's just gone live. I've got quite a few different things that I'm actually aiming for at the moment. So it's a good opportunity for us to go back and resolve some of those issues because there is a lot of content to be played right now.
I think it's also like it's super important for all of us. I think we all win if we make sure that we're taking care of new players as they come in. The more people that join Sunflower Land and are playing this game, the better it is for all of us. So I think like while new features for people that are forging ahead, it's always exciting, but it's got a really limited end game because you've left behind the growth of the game. So I think it's very important for us to also keep in mind that we have to focus on the beginning, on the front end of the game as well as the end. So I'm super excited about putting the focus on that in the upcoming pieces of work.
Definitely. I know you guys, Craig and Spencer, they're both super passionate about the architecture around multiple bumpkins. I'm super excited to start moving things around on my land. I think anyone with the sort of like designer mind can notice that their island just gets a little bit crazy with chickens everywhere, plots everywhere, trees everywhere. I'm looking forward to having all my crops in one spot, setting up a few sprinklers around them, having some scarecrows watching over them. Yeah, I think I'll be a lot more at ease once that happens.
Couple of fences, maybe some roads. I would love to see fences come in. I've seen some really interesting stuff with people using decorations as fencing, where they've just got like flower pots, kind of segmenting their land. I'd really love to see kind of those extra design elements being added so that people can kind of really start to map out what they want their land to look like.
Definitely. I think as well, when we look at all these things that we're setting up right now, we're getting the game into a spot where we can bring it onto the mass market. So whether that's an iOS app or bringing more Web2 players on, we want to get that game into a state where it's just infinitely playable. It's not all about what's the next auctioneer item or rare item that's available. A player could join now or they could join 3 years in the future, and they're going to have a year of solid gameplay that they can engage in. And so, yeah, we do appreciate your patience. If you're a huge fan of fishing, you're going to have to wait a little bit longer. But the good news is that we're not just twiddling our thumbs. We're working on other exciting features. So there's going to be a lot for you to do in the meantime. There's a few questions coming in here. Azara has just posted their chickens laid out in a line. That actually looks quite neat. So Azara, you're probably one person that's going to really like moving nodes around and decorating your farm if you found a very nice spot for your chickens like that. think the other one we want to talk about is we talked about it on our Twitch stream, but it would be nice to touch on the auctioneer and what is happening with it at the moment. Did any of you guys actually put up a proof of concept branch, which is just to like experiment code and play around with the UI of what a lottery system would look like for the auctioneer? Did you guys check out the front end GitHub PR or draft PR that was put up for that?
I haven't looked at it yet, but I did read your description in one of our chats, and I really liked it. But yeah, I haven't actually looked at the PR yet. But I think it'd be. I'd love to hear what other people think about it. I think it really balances it out. The ability to be able to, like, I think my understanding of it. Adam, do you want to explain what the mechanic is, or do you want me to explain it? My understanding.
I can jump in.
It might be better for you to explain it.
Yeah. The good thing about this is that there's so much player feedback on a PR. There's been 27 comments placed on this pull request, which, for those not familiar, pull requests you usually give technical feedback on like the structure of the code and whatnot. Discussions is where usually this conversation comes about. But it's amazing to see the community when a code experiment pops up that they all just jump on and they're like, oh, I've got so many ideas around this. So I encourage you guys go check that out. A lot of the sentiment from OG players that they didn't like the initial proposal that was set, and I'll explain why in a bit. So we kind of look at what happened with the auction. A few of the auctions is that there's just not enough supply for players. And so last week there was only 1,000 Wood Nymph Wendy's, and there was about 500 players going for them. And so only roughly 20% of players would be able to mint that item. And what happens is that everyone clicks the mint button at the same time, a few thousand people, and most people get errors because the high traffic, whether it's the API or the blockchain RPC or a blockchain transaction, just saying that this item has sold out. So that's a huge issue, is that players are just receiving errors, and it comes down to whoever wants to pay the most money in gas fees or for like a private RPC, whoever has the best MetaMask connection, you could call it. Those are the players that end up minting the items. Which, if you understand that system and you're highly technical and you've been playing for a long time, that favors you because you figured out you can pay more money to get these items, and you figured out how to set up the right blockchain conditions. But it leaves a sour taste for people who aren't as technically savvy because they do miss out on those items. And so when we looked at this idea of a lottery system, we've bounced probably 10 or more ideas and how feasible they would actually be amongst the team. And this is one that we just wanted to experiment with. And so the goal of the lottery system is we want to support all time zones. So you don't have to be awake at a certain time that's not convenient for you. We want to reduce RPC bugs, and we want to reduce the high gas fees that people have to pay. We want to reduce failed transactions, so people actually spending gas and then a transaction reverting. We want to encourage the new players and give them a chance. We kind of touched on this before. It's like we got to design this game in a way that is encouraging for new people. We do a lot for the OG players, and if you're around, you do get things like Fruit SFTs, which is targeted at those high-end players. There's always lots of features for those OG players. We just need to balance out a lot of these items, especially Auctioneer, and make them accessible to new players. Otherwise, they'll just see that as something that's not accessible to them, and they'll lose engagement and leave the game, unfortunately. And so the way that this mechanic works is that when an auction opens, players have 24 hours to cast their bids. Your resources / SFL, they're going to be escrowed off chain until the auction is over. So during that 24 hours, you cannot access the resources that you just placed. This is good because it guarantees that a player is actually intending to mint the item. After 24 hours, players can come back to check the results of the lottery. Losers get their refund and winners can mint the item. And so if we look at this first approach in this experiment, you'll notice that there is a random number generator that after, say, 3,000 people want an item, the auction ends, the results are drawn. It's just going to be a random number that determines who gets those items. There was some really good feedback that the people that knew how to game the blockchain system, they preferred the old system for obvious reasons, because it means they get the items. But there was also people who weren't the OGs who just thought that the random number generator wasn't fun, wasn't in the spirit of the game. It actually was like a typical lottery, which does make sense, because when you're playing a game, you want to have control of your decisions, and you want your decisions and skill to actually influence the outcome. And a random number generator doesn't really do that. And so this follow-up comment, there were some really good ideas from players around the use of lottery tickets. And so the idea is that you can find lottery tickets by playing the game, doing daily actions. Might be harvesting crops, chopping trees, you name it. And so dedicated OG players are going to be able to stack up a lot of lottery tickets. People who aren't playing the game much, could be people who are like multi-accounting, or people, whales, for instance, who just want to purchase items, they won't have as many lottery tickets. And so when an auction arises, players pay the same amount of resources. So that could be 500 wood and 10 gold. But then they must choose how many lottery tickets they want to stake for the auction. This is the catch here, is that you could put in 10 lottery tickets, or you could put in 100 lottery tickets. Instead of just being a random number generator, whichever players put in the most lottery tickets, those are the ones that get to mint the item. And so in this scenario here, if you win, your lottery tickets are burnt, the resources are burnt, and you mint an item. If you lose, you get a refund on your resources. Obviously, you have 500 wood and 10 gold, but you're not refunded your lottery tickets. And so this creates a really interesting game theory aspect, which, since the bids are blind, a player must strategically determine how many lottery tickets they should burn for the auction, which adds a lot of gameplay around this. If you're stacking up, there's a few things here. You may want to save your lottery tickets for a specific item that you're interested in, that you see is coming up on the auctioneer, and just go, look, I want this item, I'm going to put all my lottery tickets in it. Another approach is that you could scatter out your lottery tickets. You want all these items, and you try your best there. You may think that a certain auctioneer item may not sell out, and so you could put in 0 lottery tickets, because obviously if there's more supply than people interested, everyone would get that item. And so it creates this really interesting approach to an auction where it is gamified, where you need to get these lottery tickets through playing the game. And then you've actually got the strategy when an auction comes around. How high demand do you think is going to be this item? And how many of these do you want to use during that auction? There's some good questions popping up in here saying, are lottery tickets transferable? No, they aren't. So the only way to get these is through playing the game. And that's kind of where it's at. So this branch which opened up had this initial lottery idea. There was some really good feedback from the players that they want more game skill involved in it. And we've kind of refined this idea to needing to get lottery tickets and use these lottery tickets. This is something that just happened today. So guys, you probably haven't even heard about that idea. What are your thoughts around the use of a lottery system and the idea of lottery tickets?
I like the idea of lottery tickets. It reminds me of something in World of Warcraft called Dragon Kill Points, which is like points you accrue. Because the thing is, in World of Warcraft, what happens is that you're raiding in a 40-man raid, and one item drops, and if it's a really good item, you've got multiple players who want it, and it reminds me of that. Honestly, it's like what happens is that you accrue these DKP over time, and then whoever's got the highest DKP basically has the best chance of getting the item. And there's different mechanisms and how that works. But I think it's a really nice way of doing it, because you can choose to basically, like you said, with a game theory kind of mindset, you can choose whether to stake your tickets now and risk future drops, or you can try and save your lottery tickets, for a future drop, if that's what you're after. But you don't know what the drop's going to be, so it's kind of like, do you want to get something now? Do you want to get something later? So I think it's actually quite a good system, yeah.
Yeah, and just before we continue, I just got to remind that this is not guaranteed making the gameplay. It was just an experiment that popped up. We're exploring a bunch of different solutions around improving this auctioneer. Yeah, Spencer, Romy, Mr. Carrot, how do you feel about this?
Yeah, I feel good about it. I love that like your chances are higher the more you play the game. I also love that, like, someone asked in the chat, like, if I put in 0 lottery tickets, do I still have a chance? You do, and it's like, is everyone else putting in 0? It's like you need to kind of think about it strategically, and you need to think about what has happened in the past mints versus like what's happening now, and really decide on what you want to kind of put your stuff towards. If you're just smashing it out and playing the game every day and just like accruing lots of tickets, like, you'll probably have a solid chance of getting most of it. But it definitely encourages this idea that, like, the more I play, the more I invest in this, the more chance I have of getting these things, which I think is a better setup than just having OG players have more of a chance of getting these, because like we talked about before, like, it's not thinking about the other end of the game where people are just starting and trying to get involved. If there's no chance for people at that level, then no one's going to join, and it's just going to be all of us here together forever. So I'm really excited for it. I think it's an exciting gameplay. It's more exciting than just having it be a random lottery system. So yeah, I thought it was a good suggestion, and I'd be excited to try it out for sure.
Yeah, I agree with Spencer. If it makes it fairer to the newer players, this would be great, because there's a lot of people that don't participate on these sort of drops because they don't have any chance. So if this makes fairer to everyone, yeah, definitely, and definitely I'll be testing this out and see how it works. It sounds interesting. Sounds fun, actually. So yeah, I agree with what Spencer said.
I think the really tough things with items like this, which involves community desires, it's very tough to predict in advance. Sometimes a good example is like that shark bumpkin onesie that just picked up so much momentum on Discord. Everyone was posting shark memes for like an entire week, and the hype around it was just crazy that they sold out in a second. And so with like a lottery system, it's very, a few shark memes are popping up now. With the lottery system, it's also a hard one to theoretically talk about. I think if we do this, it doesn't mean we go that approach, but we do want to experiment with it and see how the community reacts to it as well. Who knows? People might really, really engage with it. It might not work. And then we go back to an old system or another system. But we do want to try some pretty radical ideas around this. And for the haters out there that don't like these ideas, if the idea is not working, we're not going to keep it. we're going to change it. We're going to fix it up. Kind of like the current system where if it's not working, we're going to try something else. So even if you're not on side with some of these ideas that we want to try out, just know that if you're right and it didn't end up being a good idea for the game, we're not going to keep it in the game for the sake of it. We'll go back, we'll revise, and we'll try a different suggestion as well.
I think another thing, in regards to these mints, someone mentioned it in the chat before, or maybe in I just had a look at the PR, but mints is such a touchy subject, because anytime you have a limited supply item, you're always going to have a larger proportion of the community that are going to be unsatisfied with that mint, irregardless of whether the mint went smoothly, because so many people miss out when you're talking about limited supply. And I mean, limited supply is important, and a lot of people like limited supply because it, one, adds value to your items, it adds more rarity, etc. So mints is just such a touchy subject. There's no what we have in place currently isn't clearly not working. It can't scale with where it's kind of broken. And maybe we do implement this system, and maybe we try it for a couple of times. And it's not whether you're satisfied with the mint necessarily, it's whether or not the system works. And it's whether or not people are actually getting this mint because the system is working by design, as opposed to the system is just clearly broken, and whether you get an error or not is that's up to luck. That's not the system that we want. But the system of minting is always going to leave a large portion unsatisfied with that mint, because there's people that miss out. So it's a complicated one to balance, because you're never going to have a system where everyone is happy, because there's always going to be people that miss out. That's just it's a really difficult solution. I mean, it's a difficult problem to come up with a solution for, because there's always dissatisfaction on some level.
Definitely. I think as well, we put in this that experiment that was raised, issues around setting the correct price and supply, that's separate to this proposal here. We'll do those with whatever solution is picked. And so what we're really trying to solve here is just when there is 20%, say 20% of people do need to miss out on minting an item, making sure that that experience is still smooth and frictionless for them. And it's almost gamified in a respect that they could have got this item if they played the game more. That feels like a nicer approach than being faced with bugs or just being unlucky. And so there's I saw Tar just put a comment in that when someone wants to mint at the auctioneer, the resources are borrowed. So if you want to place a bid on an item, those resources are taken from your inventory until the end of the lottery. Only if you mint is it then actually deducted from your farm. So on chain, those are actually burnt and the NFT goes into your account. Otherwise, it just refunds, unlocks those resources, and they're available again to use. It looks like right now, looking at the feedback in the chat, there's quite a lot of positive sentiment, which is a huge change from when I woke up and read the comments on GitHub. So it's nice to see. Yeah, we'll chat more internally about this idea and whether we want to pursue it, or as always, we just want to share these ideas early and get a bit of feedback. Couple of questions popping up. Is there going to be 535 blackberries to mint or 500? There's going to be 525. So in our previous post, we increased the number. There was 25 beta testers who already had fruit in their inventory. So we felt it was unfair that they could potentially take away that public supply. So we increased that number to 525. And then an extra 10 is for the Goblin Community Treasury supply. Those will be minted over the coming days. So do expect to see a -10 for the blackberry, squirrel, and the ladybug as well. With those as well, we've got to airdrop them to the designers. I think the core team, we're each going to get different ones of these resources. So at least there's some of us that have each item so we can test it and make sure nothing breaks. And yeah, we'll probably have a few left over in the treasury that we can do for giveaways and special events as well. There's a good comment here. Current mint system is the worst possible. Anything else will be better. That's fair enough. So guys, we've got almost 100. We've got 100 people in the audience right now. Is there anything you want to share from this week in Sunflowerland?
Not really. I don't really have anything else to share, but I loved seeing that someone said that they've the curse of not a good night's sleep since the blueberries, like since the quest or the blueberry NFT mint has started. I agree with that. I've been harvesting the blueberries around the clock, and it's like I can't stop. I keep checking like the June analytics to make sure I'm still kind of in the running for it, which feels really insane. But I'm glad to see others are on the same path as me. It's been an exciting time with the fruit for sure.
Craig, Romy, what else is
Yeah,
on this week for you?
I'll tell you something that's on is the number of community pull requests. It is outstanding. I am every day I'm trying to review PRs and get them in, and the number is just outgrowing me. It is amazing how much work and effort has been put in by the community into the code base. It's really fantastic, honestly. Yesterday it was 23. And then we managed to get it down to 13 changes in flight, and now it's been back up to 16. And I've reviewed at least I think maybe two or three PRs today. So it's really awesome to see the amount of change going on from that point of view. And it's those small things which just make the quality so amazing. So yeah, that's something I've been really amazed with this week. Just the sheer quantity of changes coming in.
So if we want to say,
Go ahead,
mate.
Yeah, I was going to say I got really excited with the Pumpkin Plaza. This morning we had a meeting with the mods and we all got together at the Pumpkin Plaza for a chat. It was really, really nice. So I can see where this is going. Like the plaza, getting together with your friends and having like things to do together. This is really exciting.
I had was there a bunch of bumpkin sharks in the plaza again, Romy?
Yes, definitely.
I had one of my friends, I won't name names, he said he was chasing you around the plaza this morning and you kept running away from him.
Yeah, I think I can guess who it was.
It's yeah, on what Craig was saying, there's so much code requests coming in, and there's actually some really big code changes from community members. So they're putting a lot of thought. There's obviously a lot of nice touch-ups, but also some really in-depth features or technical improvements. So a huge shout out. We are under the pump right now trying to release Treasure Island and review all of these PRs. Please keep them coming. Just be mindful that it is taking us like 3 to 4 days to review some of these PRs. So yeah, be patient. We'll be able to jump on and give you some feedback there.
All right, we are getting kind of close to time to wrapping it up. Did you guys want to bring a couple people up onto the stage to ask some questions?
Sounds good.
All right. So anybody in the audience, if you got any questions you want to come up and ask, just raise your hand and we'll bring you up on stage. We got Super Synapse.
Been a
Hey
while
guys,
since-
just to throw this out there, I've really enjoyed all the updates and events so far. So thank you guys for all the hard work you've put in. My question was more so, what are your thoughts around NFTs that are minted, as far as tiers being, cheap, kind of a medium level NFT? I think like the fruit NFTs fit in that category, and then expensive NFTs, kind of like when the Scarecrow mints came out, when the Foreman Beaver mint came out, etc., that allow people who have lots of resources to be able to spend them.
It's a really good point. Yeah, so giving some more tiered items that players can work towards. If you are, I think it was like the Foreman Beaver had like 3,000 wood, something crazy.
I think it was
Involved in
5,000 actually. It was a lot. It's a heck of a lot.
It's actually a really good point. We do try to balance the items that we release, but we do always like to include one that's really high value for whales to get to spend their resources on. And so, yeah, we're always for that. And one of these tickets that we are working on is that progressions improvements, which we talked about, adding new craftable items like scarecrows, sprinklers, and whatnot. There's going to be some of those really intense items to get, like 5,000 wheat, for instance. So yeah, we've still got a bunch of those planned and lined up. If you're a player that's been hoarding resources, you'll be able to spend them.
Super. Yeah, that's it.
Awesome. Thanks for jumping up. It's been a while since we last spoke. Is anyone else want to jump up?
Yeah, if anybody else you want to raise your hand and come up and ask any questions or comments or anything, go ahead and we'll bring you up. Yeah, I just saw Zaro's comment actually. Policy Mouse on his way to the top 1 contributor. Policy Mouse has been killing it on the pull requests lately. Like, I swear, every time I see anybody bring up a bug or a quality of life feature or anything, he's just like, oh, I've got a pull request for that here.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's like, I mean, there's a bunch of people whose kind of output is just through the roof. It's like really wild to see. I love it. It's like there's so many people that I feel like have a massive amount of experience in the code base at the moment, which just kind of extends our ability to get things done by 1,000%. So it's really amazing to see.
I think it's that time of the week, Romy's sentimental wrap up.
Classic. So if there's no more questions, thank you all for joining us, and see you next week. No sentimental today.
Thank you very much, everyone, for joining. We hope you like the latest improvements. Get ready for Treasure Island.
See you all.
Hope
Thank
everybody
you.
has a good night or morning or rest of your day, whatever it is.
See ya.
See you later.
See you later.